I'm tired. I'm tired. I just woke up, but I got to get this out. I got this out to the people. So Friday, we finally got the long-awaited posthumous album from Mac Miller called Circles. And on the same night, Eminem dropped Music to Be Murdered By. Music to Be Murdered By. I don't even know if that's like grammatically correct, but whatever, I guess. Yeah, so it was a good day for white people on Friday. I'm just going to give you my honest opinion on both of the projects and kind of compare them to their last work and see what's going on. Now, I was really, really nervous as a Mac fan to see how they would handle this kind of thing, because you see it with XXXTentacion, how they kind of milked him for like a cash grab. And I was curious to see how they would handle that with Mac, considering that a lot of his projects were very cohesive and all had, a similar meaning. John Brion, who's done a lot of other great things musically, kind of pieced some of the album together, a couple of the beats, and I have to say I'm not disappointed. Listening to Mac's voice on Circles in the beginning track was really weird for me because he's just not used to hearing his voice. He hasn't come out with a lot of stuff. Obviously, his family has kept it very under wraps. So it was very kind of tough to hear his voice. The bubbly beats on here, like the ones on Blue World and Complicated and Good News, really just shed a bunch of positivity over the entire album. And it Mac music, in retrospect, will make you sad because the things that he sings about and raps about is obviously very eerie now that he's gone. It really sounds like he's telling us something from the grave. So there's a couple songs on this project that really, really make you very sad, very sad. And the opening track is one of them, entitled Circles. Just kind of him talking about, all the stuff that Mac talks about that's really sad after he's passed away. Good News is also a very sad song. In retrospect, Why Does Everyone Need Me to Stay? And all of that being wrapped into such an uplifting, positive beat was really, really an interesting choice for me, and it worked well. It was a beautiful song. It has a weird, eerie feeling that he's letting us know from the grave that he's chilling, he's doing all right, and, it's, as a Mac fan, if this is the last project we get, I'm good with it, because there's a good amount of closure in this project for whatever reason. Just kind of letting everybody know it's okay. Don't worry about it. Everybody's gonna live. Everyone's gonna die, and it happens is sooner to some people than others. But that's kind of the way it is. Hand Me Downs might be my favorite one here. It's just Mac really, really talking over a sad guitar riff, and geez, some of these songs I didn't cry, but some of them. Some of these songs are really, really upsetting. A very coherent project, and that's all I was looking for. Like, it didn't need to be great, but it needed to be coherent, and that was my biggest issue. John Brion, shout out to you. You made it happen. I appreciate that. Yeah, going back to Hand Me Downs, it sounds like a John Mayer type of beat, or a type of instrumental, and just hearing Mac kind of talk about this lover that he has, and not sure if he's talking about Ariana Grande, but Jesus, it's sad. It's really, really sad. The worst song on here is probably That's On Me. I wasn't a big fan of that just because it's very repetitive, doesn't really give you a ton. There's not as much written in between the lines as with the other songs, and I just wasn't feeling that one personally. But every other song on this album is really, really good. It's well produced. Well done. It sounds like something Mac would have crafted himself, and for that, I gotta respect it. Mac is still rapping his ass off on certain beats, such as Blue Worlds. Blue Worlds is a song he kind of just gets in his bag of rapping that we haven't heard from Mac, in a rapping sense in, a little while. So, it was nice to hear him flow like that. That was one of my favorite Macs. It was one of it's the Mac that everyone fell in love with. As a Mac fan, I'm very happy with it. It gives us a little bit of closure on Mac and how he's doing. He's kind of looking down like, yeah, it's all right. Like, you're good. Don't worry about it. I'm chilling. The opening line of Circles is him like, oh, this is what it feels like. It's not that bad. Like it's like he's talking about heaven. He's like, oh, this is what it's like. The moment before you fall, this is what it's like. It's not bad. It's something really weird about that. Kind of tug at the heartstrings. But I love this album. I'm gonna give it an 8-4. I'm gonna give it an 8-4 out of 10 just because I like the way they approached it and it was respectful and it was well put together. Next, we have Eminem's Music to be Murdered To. I don't know why that title has been escaping me so much. I can't name it. But first off, let me just start off. If anyone is upset at the Ariana Grande concert bombing line, you asked for Old Slim Shady, and he gave you Old Slim Shady. Don't be upset. It's not like he hasn't been doing this for years. Suck it up. There's some moments on here where it really makes you feel like, okay, I think he knows what he should be doing at this point in his career. And it's not songs with Ed Sheeran, but it's songs with people like Young M.A. Whenever him and Royce get together again, it's always a nice sound. There's high spots on this album, and I'd say the first half of this album is really, really good. Kind of talking about how nobody says anything about Jay-Z, that he still raps. Kind of talking his shit, something that's probably stuck in his mind. And, I welcome that. I think that's something you should be able to put out there. Secondly, you get on the track with Young M.A., who had a great verse, as always. And then Eminem got on there, and he really talked a lot of shit. And that was a good beat for him. It was kind of haunting. And I thought it was really good. I really liked it a lot. Once the Ed Sheeran song comes on, I never gave that a fair chance. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to hear Ed Sheeran on a rap song ever again. In Too Deep starts off, I think it's like a good love song there that kind of incorporates an element of Eminem we haven't seen in some time, like it's a different style of love song that we haven't heard from him, that hasn't been corny in the last 5 years. It's actually pretty good. Then you get on Godzilla, which was a pretty interesting track, and Eminem was doing his really fast rapping that he does, just rapping for the hell of it. I will say, though, I know a lot of people are tired. People think that Eminem is washed, but if you pull up the lyrics in front of you, he still raps well. It's not like he's rapping about absolute nonsense. Sometimes he is, but this one, he's not really talking about nonsense. The hook by Juice WRLD, I think it goes really, really well. I have a feeling that they're going to go the XXX route with him and really just exploit his ass for a lot of money. And then it goes into Darkness, which is probably my favorite and most interesting track on the entire project. Eminem basically takes the perspective of the Las Vegas shooter, and between the first 3 or 2 verses, he kind of blurs the line between him going on stage with a lot of gun references. And he was like, yeah, I got to get on the show. I got to get on stage and rip it. I can't murder a show that no one's at, because he's worried. He's taking the perspective of the shooter who's sitting in the hotel room waiting for the entire stage to fill up so he can commit a heinous crime, of course, as you know. Once it gets to a point in the song where he's going there to commit the act, you still don't know if he's a rapper or if he's taking the point of view of the shooter. He starts making it very clear that he's taking the point of the shooter, and referencing a lot of other tragic gun violence events over the past few years. I thought it sent a really good message without being disrespectful, and I thought having the perspective of the shooter in that song was really something I didn't expect to hear, but he did a really good job of it. I think Eminem, when he tells a story and he gets into that bag where he's really bringing you all the way through it, catching you up to snuff, letting you know what's going on, there's not a lot of people who have ever been better at that than him. Then it starts to go down. Stepdad is the worst song. Literally the most typical, trash Eminem song you could ever think of. I hate my stepdad. Why? It's such a bad song, dude. I really hate it. Like, people are gonna be like, oh yeah, you know, everyone has stepdad problems. Yeah, it's a fucking shut up, dude. This song sucks. Don't defend it. It sucks. A terrible song transitions into just a little bit less of a terrible song in Marsh, where he's using this terrible, terrible auto tune. Eminem should never use auto tune, but he's like, my name is Marsh and I'm out this world, and then he's got some terrible ad lib like Superman, like in the background. It's oh Jesus Christ, dude. It's really bad. It goes downhill from there, basically. The album definitely had promise, but Eminem has to stop making these corny ass records that just tank the entirety of the project for me. Like those songs are so bad. But at the same time, how are you gonna mix a song like Stepdad in Marsh along with Darkness in the Young M.A. song? Like I don't get it. He either hit or he missed real bad on this album. I just want to see a little more consistency because I'm assuming he's gonna continue to rap until he's 75. He can still flow. He can still spit very, very quickly. Darkness is by far the best song on this album. The song with Skylar Grey, Leaving Heaven. It's a nice song. Definitely going to be in either a Marvel commercial or a Dodge Ram pickup commercial within the next like 3 to 5 years. Lock It Up with Anderson .Paak. A little underwhelming for an Anderson .Paak song, but I mean, just a couple songs on here are really forgettable. The Don Toliver song is unforgettable, or forgettable, excuse me. Little Engine is another example of Eminem just kind of rapping about nothing, and it doesn't really serve a purpose for me. Overall, you know, you gotta mix the good songs with the bad songs, and while the highs are real high, the lows are real low. So for this, I'm gonna have to give it like a 6.9 out of 10. Nice. You know what? Nah. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I was going to give it a 6.9 because of a joke, but it's got to be at least at a 7 because there are a majority of really good songs on this track. And, you know, it's a shame that there's a lot of other real bad songs on this. And I didn't even mention the Ed Sheeran song enough. That shit sucks. I don't want to hear Ed Sheeran ever again now. Ever. Every time I hear Ed Sheeran anywhere, I want to die. But yeah, that'll do it. Hope you all appreciated my review. Let me know if you agree, disagree. And until next time, it's been your boy.